It's enough, I think. It's enough, I think.
Good evening, everybody. This is Edie with the Green Live Stream. I'm here with Mr. Scott Free. What's going on, Scott?
Hey, everybody. How's it going out there?
We had a kind of a crazy busy, I don't know how long.
Busy day. We've started our petitioning in Illinois for our 6 statewide candidates. So day number 1. So it was actually a lot of fun. We were at a library on the north side of Chicago called Sulzer Library. And it was really, I thought it was really good energy. I mean, I was standing outside trying to get folks to come in. And it was really fun because I was like, help us get on the ballot. And I said, the candidates are right in the library. And that was kind of cool. People were like, oh, they were.
We did have some people come in and like just kind of wander in because we're all talking, Yeah, we got quite a few people to say they're going to petition. We, gave them their supplies. So I think it was time well spent.
Yeah.
And then when everybody kind of had their stuff, I went and stood in the lobby of the library and started getting people, and it was surprisingly easy.
The energy.
Were so ready for something different. And,
go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, and I'm like, all I would say is, do you think we have the right to be on the ballot? Please sign my petition. And then they would go like, who's we? And then I get a chance to tell them who we are. And I'm like, I'm not saying you have to vote for us. I just think we should have the right to be on there with everyone else. I
had people, there were 3 people waiting to sign it. We got training, and I'm not following the training yet, folks. You're supposed to have multiple so that you could hand them out. But these guys stood there and waited because they wanted to put their name on. They were like, yes, and not necessarily Green Party. Yes, we got to have something else. I mean, they were really, the energy was so different because Edie and I both worked on the Jill Stein campaign, trying to get around the ballot in Illinois. And there was such hysteria about you're going to help Trump that we had a hard time. None of that's here now. None of that's here. Now it's just, oh my God, we have to change our system. And I think that the Epstein thing was kind of the last straw. I really do. I think people have finally, or at least a lot of people have finally realized we have to change the system. This is not okay.
Yeah, this isn't some existential exercise. It actually affects people's lives.
Yeah. It really does.
And people are starting to get that. You can't just kind of like, oh, well, maybe this time, maybe that time. Like now it's important. Yeah. Because now people see the real world consequences of who is in office. But we have our guest here.
Our guest is here, and it's Alex McMenemy, and he is running for Congress in Texas. Welcome, Alex.
Howdy. Hey. You were this close to teetering off the edge of mispronouncing the last name, but it's okay. You did better than most. I'll say that. So there you go.
Is that better?
McMenemy? Yeah, there you go. McMenemy. There you go.
There you go.
That's a mouthful.
Yeah,
I know. Well, that's why I tend to just say my name is Alex.
Tell me Alex.
As your website is alexforthepeople.org, folks.
Exactly, correct.
Yeah, so go check it out. We got it scrolling across the bottom, and we have some of our. Brian's here. Yeah, one of our regulars.
Yeah, we're regulars. I know, Brian. It is unbelievable. It really is unbelievable. I mean, to get off the topic, we'll talk about stuff later. But I know the whole place is a shock. So we definitely need Alex here to get in Congress, folks. We definitely need Alex.
That's the plan, at the very least.
So what made you decide to run?
A little bit of fear, a little bit of anger. A little bit of hope, everything all mixed into one. I mean, really, truly, I'm a relatively young man, 27 years old. I haven't had a day in my life living here that I have felt hopeful about the future of America. Yeah. And I figured that needs to change. Right. I mean, because there's millions of people like me that see the way that the country is working, see the way the country's operating, and they are fed up with it. They either they leave or they just opt out and they say, you know what, the country's going to go the way it's going to go. And really, I just wanted to give people a voice. I wanted to make sure that, you know, people weren't stuck with the same options that they've always been stuck with. I wanted to give people an option for hope.
Absolutely.
That
Absolutely.
that sounds a little bit like how I got where I'm at too. Like you broke my heart, then you made me angry, and then you broke my heart again, and now I'm just fed up.
Right?
Instead
It's
of
a
then-
rabbit
checking
hole, you
out-
know?
Instead
then
of
you
checking
sh-
out, I just wanted to do something about it. Like I'm not that kind of person that just checks out.
And
I'm
it
like,
wa-
okay,
and
what can I do?
then and then it was worse than that. Then it was like, I cannot believe this stuff is fucking true. I cannot believe that I'm reading about things to children. I can't even.
It's
you know,
genuinely heartbreaking. You know, you'd like to think that there's no level that's too low for these people, but unfortunately, they find a way to scrape the bottom of the barrel every time.
And then go underneath that, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I saw a great tweet, and I should have grabbed the person's name. You know, I never believed in God, but now I believe in the devil. Right? I mean, holy.
Yeah.
Something's
I
definitely.
mean, and that's the thing, is that that's a growing sentiment across the country, you know, and people feel politically neutered, you know. They feel like they would like to trust that somebody has their back, but they look around and, you know, all they see is a bunch of people that are working for pedophiles. So, you know, it's or worse, you know.
Yeah,
So
I know. Worse,
it's
worse.
crazy.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you, your area kind of touches Houston, but it's kind of like kind of sprawled out. Looks like I looked it up.
Yeah, it's the kind of northwest Houston area. So it kind of digs into Houston a little bit and then kind of spreads out. It's a place I've lived all my life. It used to be part of another district, but in 2020, due to Republican redistricting efforts, it was carved out specifically for Republican Wesley Hunt, who is now trying to move on to the Senate.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's no incumbent in this race. So
Okay.
it's theoretically a free-for-all, of course, but it was also carved out for Republican. So,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, you know, we just wonder if now it's kind of not going to matter so much. I don't know. I have a theory that it's, you know, the Democrats are still sticking to their people, but I don't know. I have a feeling Republicans have had it. I wouldn't be surprised if Green Party does well in Republican areas. I just really
well,
feel
that's truly, you know, why I'm running in this race. You know, it's more so to prove a point. You know, I want the Green Party to do well, and I joined the Green Party in 2020, and I was super excited about their message. I was super excited about, you know, being part of the party. And then I was a little disappointed, if I could be honest, at you know, the results of the party. You know, and then, you know, to say I'm not the one that's, you know, doing the work every day at this point. So, you know, I you know, no discredit to anybody that was, you know, putting in the work. But, you know, and I once again, I felt that kind of despair of like, oh, well, okay, there's nothing for us, you know, there's no way to get out of this. And I stayed in that for a little bit, and then I started thinking a little bit more. I said, well, how would a green win, you know? And what it came down to is I realized that there are three kinds of races. There are battleground races, there are Democrat run races, and there are Republican run races. And battleground races are going to have the most funding and the most tension and the most unease of any race. You know, there's kind of a toss up. You don't really want to, you know, necessarily stick your neck out for a party that might not have a guaranteed win. You know, that's kind of strategic voting mindset. And then there's Democrat run races, and that's historically where the Greens have kind of settled into, is trying to essentially provide a leftward position against Democratic candidates, which I think is fine. You know, unfortunately, I think that the best that we can do there is be a spoiler. And as much as it is good sometimes to spoil against, you know, a rotten corporate, Democrat. Unfortunately, it does provide a bit of a bad name to the party, So then I thought, okay, well, that leaves one option, and really the more I thought about it, the more I realized that this might be the way to go. And so, for a couple of weeks back in December, I was kind of, in and out. I was kind of maybe not, maybe I will, maybe I won't. And then I decided it's either this or I sit around and feel helpless some more. So I decided to get involved, and now I'm running.
Wonderful.
Fantastic.
Yeah. A lot of people vote Republican because they really hate the Democrats.
Yeah. Right.
A lot of the Republican base isn't, and the thing is, I've lived around them all my life. A lot of the Republican base are not these ideologically, motivated people. They are reactionaries in the truest sense of the word. They don't like what the Democrats are, reasonably so, but they don't have the articulation to say why. And they don't want to believe that we have two bad parties with bad people in them, And so they decide, well, then the Republicans must be good. And that's why they become diehard Republicans. And it's the same thing for the Democrats. The Democrats, Democratic voters will see that the Republicans are a bad party. And they will say, well, we surely can't have two bad parties in this country. And so they will, they will be diehard defenders, virulent defenders of the Democrats.
Yeah.
And what's more unnerving to come to terms with is that, yes, we do have two corrupt political parties that are running the show, and we do need to dismantle them.
Yeah. I think especially, Alex, your age group has really, really been open. Their eyes are pretty wide open about this situation. And so I think that's a really hopeful sign, because certainly my time on social media and TikTok and Instagram and stuff, I mean, young folks are making these really brilliant videos and really, really critical of the Democrats and our government. And so I think that there's going to be a sea change in votes. I know what you meant, that like to see the vote totals for Green parties was discouraging, but I still think that, I mean, the polling was better than our vote results, but I wonder if people are now just done. I wonder if
truly, I hope so.
I think they're going to vote our way this time. I really do.
I hope so. And, and it's a horrible strategy to rely on. Let's hope our opponents are so bad that they'll actually consider voting for good people, But it's unfortunate that we have to live in that reality. But I mean, it's true. A lot of my generation and even generations, before mine, are starting to wake up now to the fact that they have, for lack of a better word, been screwed. They've been screwed their entire lives, and it's not some shadowy figures. It's the people that are smiling in their faces, and what we have to come to terms with as a country is that it's the entire system. It's not just one part. It's not a few bad apples. It's the whole thing, root and stem. And so hopefully, hopefully running in a Republican district will give me a bit more leeway to say, hey, look, the Democratic candidate isn't going to win anyways. So you might as well just vote what you actually want to vote for, instead of trying to compromise, instead of trying to be strategic, why not just vote your worth? And that's what my campaign tagline comes from. Just vote your worth. That's all I'm asking you to do. If you want free universal health care, I want you. If you want peace on the streets and abroad, I want you. If you want a future that doesn't have, smoke filling the skies and bodies filling the streets, I want you, And it's sad that I have to kind of be strategic about that message. Surely that message should resonate with everybody. And it does. It's just that people are scared, we like to think that, not we, but, lots of people like to think that Republicans are the only ones that will fearmonger, but Democrats fearmonger just as much. They just fearmonger about the Republicans. They say, no, you don't want this guy to win, do you? Come on, he's horrible.
Right.
Yeah. Well, they let him win twice. So
exactly.
And, you shouldn't feel bad that, we're in this position because we didn't tell them to make their parties bad. They did that all on their own.
Yeah, exactly. And that really came from just an inability. I won't even say inability. really more so a lack of want to represent the people. You
Right.
know, people get into politics. Here's the thing: if I wanted to make a lot of money in politics, I would not be a Green. You know, as much as I love us, you know, we're not where the money's at. You know, if I wanted to make some money, I'd be a Republican. You know, if I wanted to feel like a good person without doing anything, I'd be a Democrat. If I wanted to actually be a good person, I'm a Green, and that's why I'm here. You know, I as stubborn as I am, I cannot be anything other than myself, and I would like to think that I'm a good person at the very least. So,
No,
Yeah.
and you know, the fact that you made those decisions, I try to tell folks this so much. The person who puts a D next to their name has already sold out the second they've done that. And I saw a little clip of the woman that used to be on MSNBC, and she's on CNN now, and she was interviewing Karen Underwood. And Karen Underwood's from Illinois. She was this progressive wonder child, you know. Oh my God, everybody was so excited about Lauren Underwood, African American woman, and she was going to be the next big progressive hope. She was talking about how it doesn't matter if their candidates are funded by APAC. That's not important. Folks, understand, if somebody
What?
puts a D by their name, they have already sold out. It may take some time. They might look really good now, but I guarantee you, if a Democrat is saying they want Medicare for all, they will never give you Medicare for all. 'Cause
well, and that's
Democrats don't
another
do that.
thing. I'm glad you brought that up, Scott. You know, I mean, it really the truth behind that is, you know, and we get these kind of progressive wonderkin every now and again. Every couple of years, there's always a new
Oh,
one
yeah.
that pops up, and all of a sudden, you know, in a couple of years, they're just as bad as everybody else. And how could this happen again? How could we be fooled again? You know, and really, the truth of the matter is that politicians are allowed to run on anything.
Yeah.
And as great as that is for some great ideas, like, you know, Medicare for all, there's nothing that holds politicians accountable to these promises, to these campaign promises. You know, I'm a big democracy fan. You know, it's one of the many things that leads me down this road. I'm a huge democracy fan, and it's unfortunate because I have to look at our political system that calls itself a democracy and have to kind of just smile and nod and, you know, be polite about it. And it's not, you know, I mean, truthfully, it is absolutely absurd to me that we are allowed to elect somebody as, let's say, senator. They have a 6-year term. That senator on day one could immediately do the most heinous crimes imaginable. And as long as their party's in power, there's nothing that we can do for 6 years.
Right.
Why do we have the ability to hire somebody, not the ability to fire them? You know,
and John Fetterman.
Exactly. You know, and there's that's the thing, is that there's nothing holding these people accountable, because we can say, oh, well, we'll primary them, and that's great, that's wonderful, until they stop holding primaries. You know, oh, we'll vote them out of office. That's great. Who else are you going to vote for? They're the incumbent. They're probably going to win their primary race. So who are you going to vote for?
Yeah, voting out doesn't really work unless you have somebody better to vote for.
Exactly. And even then, you're putting so much time and effort into one race, so much money into one race, that somewhere halfway across the country, someone else is going to pop up with the exact same mantra of "I'm going to get mine," and, you know, screw everyone else.
Well, it's because the party is corrupt to the core.
Exactly.
Both of them are. You know, you can't run in the Green Party unless you sign and say that you will not take corporate PAC money, super PAC money, or APAC money.
Exactly.
And also, it's more than that. It's that if you're going to run green, you're doing it as a volunteer. You know, it's not a career. So you know that you're in it for the right reasons.
You know, that's the thing. I was able to do this live stream today because I had a day off of work. That's that's the only time I get to campaign, is when I have a day off of work, you know. And as much as I would love to be out there, you know, full time talking about the needs and the wants of, you know, everyday working people, I can't, because I am an average everyday working person. I have to go to work. I have to clock in. I have to be there for 8 hours a day, come back home, make myself dinner, do all the chores, take care of the dogs, everything like that. And then at the end of the day, I have to find the time to not only, you know, campaign, but also I'm the secretary of the Texas Green. So then I also, on top of that, have to help the Texas Green Party. You know, it's a lot. It's a lot to put on one person's plate. And that's the thing, is that the Democrats and the Republicans, they get to just campaign full time, you know, My opponents are out raising me, hundreds to one. I'm very clearly a long shot in this race.
And I was going to say that even, we've had people who've wanted to run in Illinois as candidates. Their job won't let them. So the job itself may be the reason that you can't run for office. So, I mean, we have so many obstacles.
Exactly. And that's the thing, is that really, part of what's, part of what's difficult about this campaign and part of what's great about this campaign is that, I have to find the time, which means that I have to make sure that I am really committing myself to this. And what that means is that I can't just go half-ass into this. And I'm sorry, I don't know if I can cuss or not, but I do cuss a lot. And I've been holding my tongue for a solid 20 minutes. And I've been so good. I've been so good about it.
Broke that through, so
I say fuck every show.
I
guarantee you're gonna hear a fuck out of me.
I've gotten used to it. Not saying that I'm innocent either. So,
but it's hard to really kind of half-ass it. It really is. You kind of have to be in it to win it, and really that's part of my campaign is the acknowledgement that yes, I am a third party, and yes, I am going to have some struggles, and yeah, I probably won't win, but part of this campaign is also trying to show people that you can vote for somebody, you can vote for somebody and not against somebody. And really what it comes down to is just picking your battles. This race is very, very important. And, of course, to me, it's the most important race. I don't know how everyone else feels about it. But it's a very important race because I'm trying to make proof positive my theory that we should be kind of strategically targeting these Republican districts, because I can go to these Democratic voters and say, look, the Democrats not going to win. You can throw your vote away on a major party if you want to, or you can help pull the country to the left and vote for an actual eco-socialist, vote for somebody that actually represents your values, So it's super important to get that message out there. Once again, I would love to be campaigning full time. The money's just not in it. So, I got to find the time. That's the main issue.
Well, you want working class representation. You have to have working class people taking the
True. Yeah.
So my recommendation is make a TikTok video on your bathroom break. That's my
well, if
from the stall.
Yeah, right. Just make sure it's from the waist up. Yeah. So I mean, really, really, truly, I'm excited to run. And the thing is about this is that I'm not going away after this campaign's done. I'm here to stay. And that's something that these candidates can't say. I can say with my chest that I'm going to work every single day to make not just my life better, but my neighbor's life better, and my family's life better, and my friend's life better, because I believe in it. And the Democratic candidate can't say that. They're gonna after this, after November, they're gonna go away. They're gonna ride off into the sunset. They're gonna have some cash on hand, and they're gonna have a wonderful little political consultant job waiting for them.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
And the other thing I loved when you said, maybe I won't win. What I like about the Green Party is that we are running on principles. We're not, we don't poll test to decide what slogans we're going to use, right? We don't, it's not a strategy to win. It is a strategy to get ideas out there.
Exactly.
And, people have to come to us, and maybe it'll take some time, but I don't think it's going to take as long as I used to. I really do.
Well, I think this might be our breakthrough year.
I'm hoping so, and sorry, go ahead.
We're authentic. People can feel that we're authentic. We just did a March or Medicare for All town hall, and it was 3 Greens and 3 Dems, and they perfectly nice people, but we could say a whole bunch of stuff that they can't.
Exactly, and that's the thing, and we believe it. That's the thing that I and I've been telling my team. Because there's some times where my team gets down about it. They're like, oh, well, I don't know. I don't, what am I spending my time on? And I tell them, all the time that the light is at the end of the tunnel, and if we sit around and we wait for someone else to pick up the slack, it's not going to get done. Nope. So, a perfect example of what I believe the time that we're in is if we wind the clock back to about 2008, candidate Barack Obama is running on many ccampaign promises that he will eventually not keep. One of them, the one that sticks in my craw the most, is codifying Roe v. Wade.
Yep.
You know, he makes the huge point: I'm going to codify Roe v. Wade day one. I'm going to get into office. If you just vote enough Democrats, we'll have the majority and we'll be able to do it. And then he gets into office, and then suddenly it's not a legislative priority.
Right.
His words, not mine. His words.
They got video on both. They have video before and video after. Yep.
Exactly. And it's, you know, it's that kind of moment that we're in right now, where people are going, oh, I got duped. Oh, I got tricked. And they're looking around and they're hoping that they can find someone to latch onto. And I'm in this race. I'm in this race to show that you can latch on to the Green Party, because the Green Party needs you as much as you need it. You know, we are all volunteers. We're all doing this because we believe in it, not because there's some, you know, money, some financial gain, or some, you know, influential. Yeah, right. Exactly. You know, we're doing this because these are things that people are demanding. We're doing this because, you know, people want Medicare for all. People want free education for all. People want, you know, ICE abolished. People want to stop sending arms to Israel. You know, these are all things that people want. And, you know, it doesn't matter how popular something is among the general population. It matters how popular it is amongst the billionaire class. And that's a consistent thing that that we've seen time and time again. I remember seeing a graph where the popularity of a given policy or given item has no correlation at all to how likely it is to be passed. Right. Absolutely no correlation. And then when you correlate it with the 1%, all of a sudden those two lines are right next to each other. And it's you know, it's that kind of thing that makes people aware, oh, okay, well, I guess I didn't have as much as I thought I did. And hopefully they then turn to us and say, what can we do to help, you know?
Well, and historically in our country, the only time anything major has been done is pressure from the outside of whatever parties are in power. You have to pressure them from the outside. If you continue to fall in line, they don't listen. Lawrence O'Donnell did that famous video where he's like, I never had to listen to the people on my left. He was like a political consultant, right?
Well, he said the Democratic Party knows they don't have to listen to left ever. He was talking about the Democratic Party.
Yeah, the Democratic Party in particular.
He worked with them. He was,
Well, and a perfect...
where are they going to go?
And a perfect modern example of that is Kathy Hochul up in New York, right after Mamdani's win. She held a large rally where a bunch of people were chanting "Tax the rich, tax the rich," and she said into the microphone, and I swear, her political consultants must have been freaking out. It doesn't matter how much you care about something. The more that you shout something at me, the less likely I am to support it.
There you go.
Which, you know, an elected representative should probably represent the people that they were elected by. I mean, I don't know. It might just be in the name. It might just be one of those titles, you know, but I happen to be a true believer in that sort of thing. I think that people should be represented by people who want to represent the people. I don't know. Maybe that's just a kooky, crazy idea from the Green Party,
right? Yeah.
That's why that phrase became famous, or the video when Kamala Harris said, "I'm speaking."
Yeah, that's exactly. You know, and you know, sorry. Well, guess what? The people were speaking, and they were speaking to you, and it's your job as an elected representative to hear them. And if you choose actively to talk over them, you're not being a representative. And that is why one of the worst things that can happen in this country going forward is if we do not institute a ability to recall any elected official, unelected official, any official in our government at all, any public servant, because the inability to effectively voice our opinion on the government means that we are not able to hold politicians accountable, which means that they can do whatever they want. You know, it's nice to say as a politician, oh, well, I want to eliminate dark money. I want to, stop congressional stock trading. And that's great. I'm glad that you think that, or at least that you're going to say that.
There you
but
go.
there's nothing that I can do to hold you to that once you're in office.
Yeah.
And it's a sad state of affairs. And I hope that people see soon enough that we need to be able to hold our politicians accountable.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I would love to do that.
You know what? Actually, I tell you what, I'll make a promise right here on this live stream.
There you go.
Okay.
If I am elected, if ever my popularity dips below the percentage that I was elected by, I will resign from office. I will resign right there on the spot. I cannot be a representative if I am not popular, So that's a promise I make. And that's a promise that the Democrat and the Republican cannot make in this race.
Exactly. No. Well, thank you for that. Breaking news, everybody.
I just thought of it on the spot. If I do get elected, it's probably going to bite me in the ass, but we'll see.
I don't know. I mean, as long as you're doing what the people are asking you to do, I think your popularity will actually grow.
Right.
Because
as long as I don't get a botched space job, that's as long as I retain my beautiful youthful face. That's really all that matters sometimes.
Yeah.
Apparently that's all it takes for Gavin Newsom. If I
No, what's so creepy about that whole situation is you just see how the Democratic Party works, and you see it with AOC too. So those two are struggling so hard to tell the Democratic Party, I swear to God, I'm right wing. I'm as Nazi as I could be, because they are begging the Democratic Party to anoint them, because that's what the party does. There's no primaries, there's no elections. They anoint people. They force them on the public. Kamala was 100% forced, right? So that's what he's doing. So he's hanging out with racists and Nazis and like just the worst of the worst, saying the most offensive stuff.
And saying he's not going to raise money, even a 5% tax on the richest people in California. Not even one time to fund education.
I mean, it's absolutely insane. It's absolutely insane what they'll say out loud. They say that out loud. That's the crazy part.
Well,
you can't imagine what's happening in those backdoor meetings, but like out loud, they're saying, yeah, I'm going to do nothing to make your life materially better.
Because
what's the pitch?
But the thing is, they know. That's like the O'Donnell video. They know the blue MAGA will support them no matter what.
But they're fracturing.
Be the worst.
I've had people that have actually gotten angry with me. I'm like, why are you so hard on Democrats? You ought to be nicer and blah blah blah. And we voted the best way we could. And now they're like, you just like, well, I said my piece. Where I'm standing. And then like 4 or 5 months later, like, I'm done with them too now. I'm like, thanks for joining me.
Yeah, well, and that always happens about 4 or 5 months into a candidate or what's the word I'm looking for? Term. That always happens about 4 to 5 months in, and then all of a sudden, when the election comes back up again, all of a sudden, all of that is just completely forgotten and forgiven, because we have to do the right thing and vote for the Democrats, guys. They'll surely do the right thing this time.
I guarantee.
Oh baby, I know I hit you. I beat you up last night, but give me one more chance.
No, you don't understand. They're a good party behind closed doors. I mean, that's really truly what the mentality is. They really truly believe they cannot fathom that we have two bad major parties in this country.
Yeah.
And
go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, they're not protecting us from ICE.
Exactly.
That's happening in Democratic states and Democratic cities that were, they announced themselves to be sanctuary cities, and then all these people came to be protected, think the Democrats were going to save them, and that's what the Trump administration is targeting, and not one Democrat has stopped one ICE agent from doing a damn thing.
Well, I mean, I'm sure glad that they're proposing body cameras. I think that's really going to probably stop a whole lot of bad things from happening, because if there's one thing that I know about these recent ICE raids that have been happening, they just stop as soon as a camera's around,
Yeah. Right.
I mean, it's it's ridiculous and it's frankly disgusting.
And ICE doesn't need to exist. It didn't exist before.
It's younger than me. It's I mean, I say that to people all the time. It's younger than me. And I'm not saying that a government institution is illegitimate because of how youthful it is, but it's not necessary. We didn't need it for 200 some odd years.
It's just a way to put the boot further on our neck. That's all.
Exactly. And I think what comes back to my mind is in 2020, right after Joe Biden won the presidency, Nancy Pelosi walked out in front of a bunch of reporters in Congress, and she said, and it never leaves my mind for a single day, we need a strong Republican Party.
Right.
She said, we need a strong Republican Party. Well, I hope Nancy Pelosi is sleeping well at night because she got her wish. I mean, but I mean, at that point, they're giving the game away,
Right.
Never in the history of any rivalry has anyone ever said, oh boy, well, I hope my rivals are strong.
Right.
Well, Joe Biden's my friend.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the one that
Yep.
gives.
Oh, God, I hate Bernie Sanders. God, I hate that man. Oh, my God. And what I was reminded of Kirsten Gillibrand and other Democrats in the first Trump administration. Abolish ICE, abolish ICE. And then Biden gets into office. The Democrats are fully in charge. They increase the ICE funding. They don't abolish them at all.
Do you think one single Green will ever vote to send a dime to Israel?
Right.
No.
Dime?
Never. And then that's another thing. I'm glad you mentioned one single Green, because really, truly, that's all it takes in Congress. A lot of people think that you need a majority in Congress. And I happen to be of the opinion that that's not the case. I think that the reason why they try so hard to shut out any leftward progress is because all they need is one true believer, democratic socialist, to get into office. Because really, that's all it takes. All it takes is for one socialist to stand up and say, I'm gonna propose this piece of legislation. And then I'm going to go to all the labor unions and I'm going to ask them to support this piece of legislation. Right. And if this piece of legislation doesn't pass, they're going to go on strike.
Right.
And like, obviously, I'm simplifying it to a great extreme, but I mean, that's really all it takes. And they know that, which is why they try as hard as they do to prevent any one green, any one progressive, any one actual true socialist from gaining power, because the minute they do, the game's up.
Right.
Yep.
I think you're totally right, Alex, because the progressive caucus of the Democrats, when Democrats are in power, man, do they shut up. They don't say a word about anything. They don't bring up any subjects. They just sit there quietly.
And well, if they do, they get censured. I mean, my criticisms of Congresswoman Tlaib aside, she did accurately call the genocide in Gaza a genocide in Gaza, and was censured by her own party for it. I mean,
why she didn't leave?
Right. See, that's my problem. That's my problem, is why doesn't she leave? That would show her real true belief. You're famous. You could run green. You could run independent. You could do really well. You don't have to stay with the I mean, why do you stay with the John Wayne Gacy party? I don't do murders. Yeah, but you're with the John Wayne Gacy party. I mean, what do you?
Well, and that's true, Scott. And really, the reason why those not just Congress people, but also Democratic voters stay with the party is because they don't believe that there is any other choice. And that's really where we Greens have to step up, and we have to make our voice heard. And that's a big part of this campaign here. I would love to win, as much as I would love to be a Congress member and chat it up with all those lovely, lovely people.
All that
really.
Really,
really, truly, my goal is to show that the Green Party can be more popular than the Democratic Party. If I get second place in this race, that makes major national headlines day one. And that's why this race is so important, at least to me, because I know that if I can show that the Green Party can be more popular than the Democratic Party, then people might open their eyes and say, "Oh, well, maybe the Greens could win," and that gives us the it's not the right word, but it's the one that comes to my tongue, leniency. That gives us the allowance to
Permission.
the permission, exactly, the permission to be as big and brash as we want to be, because it's nice to do that now, but if our opponents are going to outspend us 10-1 because people don't believe in the party, then it's kind of hard to go all out. I mean, like I was saying before, I would love to campaign full time, but the Green Party's not where the money is. It's where the morals are, and so that's where we have to be able to show that we are a credible party. And I think that this race, along with many other races across the country, are hopefully going to show that.
Yeah, and I also think that, there's a couple people that may actually win this time. And once we win, all bets are off, because that's what they always say about us. Oh, you only show up every 4 years. Well, look at us now, 2026. We got tons of people running high profile races and all across the board. I mean, we have 7 people here in Illinois. You got Butch in California. You got Anthony Aguilar. You got Greg Stoker and you and Marlone. And there's just tons of people running. So we didn't disappear. And one person in Congress will prove that Greens can win.
Exactly. It's that's going to be the straw that broke the camel's back. Really, truly, all it takes is just one major national win, and even not even a major national win. Like I said, really, all we have to prove is that we, on our policies alone, are more popular than the Democratic Party, which we are. We know that we are. We know that our policies are popular because they are the working class policies. We know that our policies are popular. So it's not a matter of proving it to ourselves; it's proving it to everybody else. And the Democratic Party already knows this. The Democratic Party already knows that these messages are popular, and they choose to stay away from them.
That's why they steal them and ruin them.
Exactly. Still waiting on that Green New Deal from AOC.
Waiting on Medicare for all.
Right. Yeah. And she doesn't talk about it anymore because she wants to be the president. That she wants to get pegged for president. So she calls Maduro a dictator, and that Trump didn't do enough. He didn't go far at that latest thing in Germany or wherever.
Yeah, exactly. She had said to the effect, you left some behind. It's like, how many more people do you want him to kidnap? I don't know.
He didn't finish the job. Yeah, I mean, again, to go.
Isn't that incredible?
To the right wing of Trump.
I mean, how must that feel
right?
To have been like hardcore AOC fan and to hear her saying stuff like that.
It's
It
horrific.
has to be a stab in the heart.
Well,
if you got anything
that's the thing, is that some people will find a way to rationalize it. They'll find a way to compartmentalize their favorite politician saying something that they don't like, because a lot of people have a parasocial relationship with their politicians. A lot of people believe that their politician has their best interest in mind. Despite all evidence to the contrary, some people still are true believers that their politician cares about them.
They're trying.
And the reality
they had
is,
to say that because and I'm like, no, I don't know.
And Blue MAGA, they don't follow foreign policy. They don't. They only they just want attractive people. AOC is very attractive, and so is Governor Gavin Newsom. He's like a hottie. Wow, right? That's what they care about. That's actually the level of their interest. They wouldn't, they couldn't find Venezuela on a map. I mean,
his voice gives me the creeps.
Yeah, he's not quite my type, but I will say,
well, not my type either. I have to say,
too smarmy.
Well, ripping up homeless people's tents, that's not a turn on for me. That's just not one of my fetishes.
Well, it's doing that and then having a photo up about it. That's really the most disgusting part for me. It's tearing up a homeless camp and then turning to the camera and going, like, look at what I'm doing. It's like, no, I see it. You should probably stop. I mean,
that's anything to be proud of.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like I was saying earlier, people don't want to believe that we are fundamentally out of power, that we the people are fundamentally out of power. They want to believe that there's some avenue, that there's something, it's just a flaw in the system. It's not the system as a whole. They want to believe, and even people that will acknowledge the two-party system is bad, they will still say, but I mean, we got to vote for the Democrats, guys, because that's the only option. I mean, come on. And so really what we have to show these people is that, no, it's not the only option. You could choose to be a person with integrity, a person with morals, and a person that actually stands for their convictions. And doing so is not the most politically expedient way to get what you want. Unfortunately, it's not. You know, building a party from the point that we're at to the point that where we want to be is not an easy task. And I'm sorry that it's not. You know, I'm sorry that it will inconvenience you. But it's either that, or we're going to have 99% Hitler versus 100% Hitler for the rest of our lives.
Right.
Well, and that voting blue, no matter who, got us Trump 2 times. So deal with that.
Exactly.
Right. And I love that people have flipped, the Green Party has flipped that phrase about wasting your vote. I mean, you are wasting your vote if you vote for a Democrat or Republican. You are helping the Epstein class. That's a waste of a vote. If you
I mean, and
Party, that's going to count. The Green Party will mean something. That other stuff means nothing. It means empire. That's all.
Exactly. Well, and especially in this race, in my race in particular, because, you know, really, truly, if you think about somebody that wakes up, the crack of dawn, to go to a polling station because, you know, Texas has heavily gerrymandered polling stations that, you know, the lines wrap around the block, you know, and there's like one polling station in the entire county, and it's, you know, it's in the middle of an abandoned, you know, like hotel or something like that. You know, and standing in line and, you know, being drenched in sweat because we're in, you know, hot, humid Texas. And standing around people that probably hate your guts and wouldn't do anything for you just to vote for a Democrat, like just to vote for somebody that after the election is done will not give you anything. No. You gain nothing by voting for the people that are already representing the status quo. Right. But the Green Party needs your vote. And that's why my tagline, vote your worth, is so important. I really just want people to vote their worth. All you have to do when you get into that polling booth, it's just you and the paper, and that's it. It's you and the paper, you know. And at the end of the day, what you put on that paper says more about you than anything else that you could say. You can excuse it. Oh, well, it was the best choice at the time. Oh, well, I didn't know better. Oh, well, I had to be strategic. But you live with yourself. You have to know that what you voted for is going to have consequences. And voting for me, you know, I probably won't win. I know that. But at the very least, you can sleep well at night. At the very least, you can say, hey, I voted my convictions. I stood up to a system that doesn't want me to have a dignified life.
And, and if enough people do that, you will win.
Exactly.
I think what you're saying is, you know, wildly popular. I don't know Texas, but I would think it's just common sense. You know,
and I
don't know your opponent. I didn't know if you wanted to talk about him at all, but
I also think that, you know, I was kind of, you know, discouraged. And then I heard that Butch Ware's polling went to 5%. I was like, holy shit. If you start to see polling numbers that are increasing, things are happening. So,
right, exactly.
I don't know. I think, you know, we've said this on our show that it's not a green wave, it's a green tsunami. I think that it's happening. I really do.
Well, I mean, we're rounding the corner on something great happening, and you know, we just have to remind ourselves that what we're doing is important, and we have to keep working at it. You know, really, that's the thing, is that our enemies are well funded. Our enemies are very, very well protected. You know, and we have to work every day to make sure that they don't gain ground, and that's hard. It's hard, and it can be a bit discouraging sometimes, but you have to find those glimmers of hope. You have to find those things that make you say, yeah, it's going to work out, because it has to. It has to. Because what's your other option? You know,
you fight the fight because it's the right thing to do.
Exactly.
So I wanted to ask you, you know, what about your opponent, the Republican? What's he like?
Well, technically, I have two opponents, but one that actually matters. John Bonk seems to be the front runner in the race. He's been endorsed by Trump. He's leading the pack as far as fundraising goes, and that's really about the most that I can say about him. I think that he is. I'm not convinced he's a real person. I think he might be AI. I think that until I see him in person, I don't know if he's real.
That's a good point. Grok, is the candidate real? No,
yeah. Do we have any casual photos of him? Has he ever been to a sports bar or something, hanging out with friends or something? I mean, this guy is an absolute wacko, a right-wing mouthpiece that will provide nothing for the average everyday working families in his district. I mean, I wouldn't be too surprised if he was an alien wearing human skin.
I wouldn't accept aliens that way. I think aliens.
True. Yeah. No. Well, no, but the evil aliens, the ones that are trying to destroy the world.
Yeah.
I mean, really, if you're an alien trying to destroy the world, I mean, you're in safe hands with the Democrats and the Republicans. I mean, you don't got to do anything. You're like, I'm gonna sit back and put this on autopilot. This is great.
I'm going right to Epstein Island. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. I mean, I've never seen somebody want to be part of the Epstein files so bad. I think that he's a political outsider in the same way that somebody that watches football every single Sunday is not a football fan. It's like, are you sure? I mean, because you're pretty well invested into it. I mean, you seem to be well connected to, it's hard to believe that, people will believe his rhetoric, but they will. I mean, and that calls back to what I was saying before. Most Republicans are not these virulent racists. They're not these ideologically coherent, monsters. They are people that don't know politics. It's as simple as that. They don't know politics. Right. And many Democrats are like that as well. They're just people that have never had the time to sit down and think about their political system strongly. I mean, I've had, like I said, I've had conversations with them all throughout my life, and one conversation I had, I always use this as an example because, people kind of want to have their guard up about, especially, in progressive circles, people want to have their guard up about, kind of humanizing Republican voters. And I think what's important to realize is that, I mean, these are people, these are people that have been manipulated, sure, but they are people, and they are doing bad things by voting for the Republicans, sure, but they are people. I talked with this one person, and this was around the time when the story about undocumented migrants receiving free healthcare was the big thing in the news. I want to say like a year ago now or something like that, something to that effect. And he went on and on about, oh, well, how come, and he would say, how come these illegal aliens get free healthcare and I don't? And really, the part to focus on there is not that he has some strong ideological convictions about, undocumented migrants receiving free healthcare. What he's saying is, why doesn't my government care enough about me to give me free healthcare? Mm-hmm. And that's the point where I can reach out to them and I can say, well, look, it's true. The two political parties that have been in power for the past, 150 some odd years don't care enough about you to give you free healthcare. They don't believe in you. They want you to fail. But the Green Party wants you to succeed. The Green Party wants you to have a dignified life. The Green Party wants you to be a better person, and that person came away from that conversation literally saying, hey, I'm sorry about that stuff I said. I was wrong. And that's how you change people's opinions on things. You don't go at them with this kind of, guard up, like, oh, well, I need to present the facts in the, I could have sat there and told them, well, actually, undocumented, people don't get free healthcare. And, here's the study supporting that. I could have gone all factual on him, but really at the heart of it was an emotion. It was a betrayal. It was, why doesn't my government care about me? And I spoke to that. And that's what you have to do. You have to speak to people's emotions.
Yeah, because people don't vote on the statistics. They don't care about the
exactly.
They know how they feel about it. And that's how they vote.
And I will say, I spend tons of time on Twitter, and there have definitely been a lot of Republican slash MAGA folks who are so outraged about the Epstein files and child molestation and beyond. They are so pissed off. I mean, and again, that's, the right wing. It was always caring about the children. Like, oh my God, the whole, right?
The hand wringing and the yes.
Focus on
But
the
the thing
family.
is, they
Right.
really did care about children. Some, like we were saying, some are very honest players here, and they care about children. So they are horrified at what they are seeing. So I think you're right. I mean, you don't have to be a political expert to know that it's not okay when they're stealing children and doing things to them. I mean, that's not okay, right? And that's
Maybe
not
we should run a
politics.
few polls on it to see. Maybe we should
I
have a
know.
referendum on that. You
Yeah.
know, I mean that's and that's the corporatization of the Democratic Party. That's their genuine response to it. Well, I
Yeah.
don't know. Let me see what my political consultants say about it.
Yeah.
You know,
don't-
it's like
if you got to do this, then you don't really know anything.
you're right,
See which way the
exactly.
wind's blowing. You gotta have the conviction in your heart to know what's right and wrong.
Exactly.
And be a representative for the people. Like if your people are telling you they want something, sit down and have a conversation with them.
I did a tweet that has not gone viral, but I liked it, so I'm going to share it right now.
Okay.
A Department of Justice under a Green Party administration would be fundamentally different. Unlike Republican and Democratic Department of Justices, a Green Party Department of Justice would not protect pedophiles. I mean, it's like, and the reason why I wrote that was to get people who thinks about a Green Party administration Department of Justice, right?
Yeah, put
Right.
it
Has anybody
in the
even
bloodstream.
ever thought of that? Right. So get people thinking.
What would the Green
oh,
Party DOJ do?
Right. Oh.
Exactly. Well, and a lot of people, as much as I love Americans, deep down in my heart, a lot of them like to talk about things they don't know. And a lot of people think that they know a lot about politics. And it's hard to kind of bite your tongue and to, smile and nod and go, yeah, because everybody has an opinion. And it's hard to sit down and work someone's way out of a position that they didn't get into reasonably. If somebody got into a position because they were under some misguided belief, it's very hard to rectify that. It's very hard to bring them out of that wormhole.
Mhm.
And so sometimes people will say, oh well, why do Greens only run for president? Of course, not knowing that we don't only run for president. And like 5 minutes of research would show that. Not even 5, literally one quick Google search would show that. But what you have to say is, well, that's the most bang for your buck. You get one person elected and suddenly you have an entire branch of government. I mean, strategically, it makes sense at the very least.
And I don't expect people to know this. This is a level of, political parties that people don't understand. An independent party has to run a president or their party falls apart.
Right, exactly.
And there is no doubt all of our success right now with the Green Party is due to Jill Stein.
Mhm.
It is and we are not a Jill Stein run party by any means, but she knew that she had to run after stupid what's his face dropped out. That she knew that she had to run because that is what's going to help the Green Party get motivated. And sure enough, here we are. I'm here because of Jill Stein. Edie's here because of Jill Stein.
Jill Stein.
I mean, it got things going, and she's smart enough to know that. So it isn't, I know everyone yells at her about this ego trip. It is the exact opposite of an ego trip.
Yeah, she's
Well,
like, I wish
and-
it was that powerful that I had the power to decide the election, right?
Well, and that's another thing, people are like, oh, well, she runs every 4 years. And I'm like, well, no, I remember voting for somebody else in 2020.
Yeah.
So I don't, and once again, it's another easily verifiable thing. But to take the time to do that would have to give the leniency to the Green Party that maybe we are correct about some things, and that's where building the credibility, having a person that, runs a campaign that does really, really well, gives that kind of leniency. You know, people say, oh, well, maybe I was wrong. Let me look a little bit more into it.
Well, it's the talking points that have been drilled into their head. That's all. They've heard it
True,
so many
yeah.
times, they believe it.
Right.
It's kind of like a bypass of I don't really want to listen to it. I don't really care that much.
And
So,
it's
so
democratic.
you just throw this talking point out there, so then you can just go on about your life.
And
You
it's
think- you think
paid.
You're right.
And it's paid Democratic Party ops. It's paid. People are
Yeah.
paid
Yeah.
to say it over and over and over and over. So
Yeah.
it gets in
And then it
brains.
gets into the bloodstream of everyone else. So
Yeah,
And
no,
a lot of
exactly.
times
And that's
knocking that stuff down.
And that's the thing, you know, everybody wants to, no one wants to be wrong. No one wants to look like they are uninformed about a topic. So when the topic comes up that they don't know about, they're going to fall back to the things that they've heard the most,
Yeah.
you know, and that's where that kind of, that's where that kind of political messaging really works. I mean, that's another reason why I'm not running in a Democratic run district. You know, sure, it makes more sense that maybe there'd be some more progressive people there, but the thing is that the number one thing that stifles us is our lack of political expenditures. I'll say, you know, it takes the Democratic Party $0 to derail a Green campaign in a Democratic run race. All they have to do is get on the news and say, "Don't spoil your vote."
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Don't throw away your vote. And now we're trying to play catch up to a multi-million-dollar financing operation
Yeah.
that we're never going to win, you know? So that's why I think my race is super important, because we do have the opportunity to go to people and say, look, I can't spoil a losing race. You know, I there's, you know, as much as I can try, you know, I can't spoil a losing race. And, you know, as much as Green Party's being spoilers to the topic of conversation, you know, I think it's super important. I do think that the spoiler in the race should drop out. So whenever the Democratic candidate would like to reach out to my campaign and let me know that they're doing that, I'd be more than glad and more than thankful for them to do that. You know,
Yeah, we'll be gracious. We'll totally be gracious.
Yeah, I will accept your dropping out of the race. So it's been wonderful to have you here, Alex. I hope you come back and
Yeah.
let us know how things were
Oh my
going. You're
gosh.
always welcome.
Yes.
And,
of course. I would love to hop on anytime.
yeah,
Oh,
and please
yeah.
go check out his website. It's about to
Alex
scroll
for
across-
the people.
Yes, alexforthepeople.org. Even if you have, you know, even if you just want to sign up for the mailing list, you know, please visit the website. Big things are coming. Big things are happening, and I hope to make everybody proud.
Yes.
Wonderful.
From
Gardner.
Gardner.
Gardner, I know who that
Yay.
is.
Ah,
Alex,
Oh,
Oh,
you're
thank you.
amazing
Thank you so much.
representative of our party. Thanks for running. Keeping it real, and good luck.
Thank you so
yes,
much.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, everybody. We're
right.
moving our news of the week to Sunday night news, 6 o'clock
6
So
o'clock
we-
Central Time. Central Time.
Central
so,
Time.
yeah.
Yeah.
'Cause we're out
Saturday we're
petitioning.
gonna be getting signatures
Yeah.
to get on the ballot. So yeah. Yeah. So thanks everybody and have a good night. Take
Have a
care.
good night, everyone.
Palestine. Free Palestine.
Free Palestine.
An uprising, we're rising up. It's an uprising, we're rising up. It's an uprising. Fight the power. It's an uprising. Fight the power.